Hey, Karsten.
Hello, Nadine. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So lovely to have you here. I'm so excited to do this session today on purpose. And you are, even though you've been on your personal development, self-development journey since 2006, but you trained as a certified high performance coach in 2019.
I did, yes.
Yeah, and have been able to bring it into your work. I'm one of the earlier ones from 2014 was when I started, and it's amazing how all of us have become this amazing community that has been fast and really supporting each other to keep excelling and to keep taking this high performance life to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a blessing. Brendan's work and the work of the High Performance Institute has
Yeah.
been such a blessing. And I think being able to certify in 2019 and have all of that knowledge
Mm.
and tool set to be able to work with people during this year of COVID has been just phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hi everybody. I am Nadine Benjamin. I am an international soprano who loves singing all over the world. I'm also a certified high performance coach, and I'm also a neuro-linguistic programming mind coach. I'm accredited NLP mind coach, neuro, the brain, linguistic, how we speak to the brain, and programming the different paradigms and patterns that we set up in our brains. And I really love making people and working with people to help them to be limitless in their thinking thought processes. And today I'm doing one of the things that I absolutely adore, which is connecting, celebrating, and championing people. And today I'm here to champion Karsten. He is an international executive consultant, leadership coach, trainer, and speaker. As a human behavioral specialist and founder of Inner Power Advantage Limited, his mission is to empower people to live their inspired life through developing their capacity for leadership, influence, and impact. In parallel with a 3-decade-long career as a management consultant and executive in financial services, Mr. Alva-Jorgensen has trained extensively with leading luminaries in the field of leadership and human behaviour, including Dr. John Demartini, who I've also done work with, Brendon Burchard, and John Maxwell. Clients benefit from both proven methods and recent advances derived from current scientific research and extensive studies in human behaviour. Karsten holds certifications in leadership training, speaking, and coaching from the High Performance Institute and the John Maxwell Team, as well as training certification from the Demartini Institute, insight seminars, human givens, empowered living, and landmark education. Oh, Karsten, so lovely that you're here with us. Thank you so much. As I always say, everybody, I really do hope you've had a great Christmas, and that Boxing Day is keeping you in connection and keeping you in love and light. Karsten and I, neither of us are doctors or psychiatrists. So if you need that kind of care or assistance, please, please, please make sure that you reach out to someone or let someone know that you need that support. We're in an era now, we're in a time now where we all know that we're all suffering from a low level of trauma, at least, and even on the bare minimum. So please, know that there is no shame or in asking for help, support, or facilitation right now. There is just none. And we want you to thrive. And this is all about elevating frequency. And so this is why we have the lovely Karsten on today. So, my lovely, in line with all my questioning that I've been doing with everybody else while they have been on this week, how do you define your version of high performance?
Right. Well, first of all, a great welcome to everybody. It's such a pleasure to be with you, Nadine, and to be introduced to your community. I just love having the opportunity to be with everyone at this time of the year and to talk about, one of the topics I feel is so close to my heart, and that is purpose.
Yeah.
And a long time ago, I heard a definition of success, that success is a continuous realization of an ideal worth realizing.
Mm. Can you say that again, Karsten?
Yeah, the success, one definition, and there can be many, but one is one that I particularly like is that success is a continuous realization of an ideal worth realizing.
Nice.
And I think really baked into that is that we have to begin with having a purpose, with an intent, because that is really the ideal that we are striving to realize in life. And
so is that your definition of high performance?
So my definition then on the high performance is that we got to start with having a purpose. We have to have an intent that we are working towards realizing. And I think if we are making continuous progress towards those things that we say matter, particularly those things that we say matter coming from our heart base, then we are automatically going to be high performing. It's not about a result or about arriving anywhere. It's about a process. And if we get knocked down, that's fine. It's about getting back up and continuing that journey.
So it's this continuous journey, and I love to agree with you there. Actually, high performance for me is also this continuous journey of exploration. You know, where we find, as you were saying, we find these little moments, they blossom, they flower, and then we move on to the next part of the journey, and we keep evolving on a consistent basis. You know, but what makes you a high performer, Karsten?
Well, so I'm not here today to like stand on some pedestal and
nobody
myself out as an amazing high performer. I think though I have clearly achieved things in my life. I've been a senior leader in multiple organizations in financial services. I have worked in many countries around the world, including the US, in Asia, in Europe, and in the UK. I've adopted and raised 2 children as a single father. Most of that journey on
as a single father.
Yes.
Wow.
And adopted children in the UK who came from a disadvantaged and difficult background.
Yeah.
And those things don't make me a high performer, but I think the elements that I found when I've sensed myself to be higher performing is to have the courage to listen to my heart, to slow down, to set an objective like becoming an adoptive parent, and the consistency to work towards that ideal in a way that's sustainable. I think in our culture, so often we think high performance is about being the hero and doing something extraordinary, which can be a bit like a flash in a pan. And I don't consider that high performance. I think true high performance actually is much more steady and powerful as a sort of a flow of a river, of a life force that just keeps progressing and we keep showing up to it.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that. I love that. And life is that we keep progressing and we keep showing up to it. Yeah. I mean, it's that thing I was saying, talking to Natasha Mogadish yesterday, and we were talking about, you know, that very same thing, that as soon as you mention high performance, loads of people think it's like, you've got to be doing 100 things and, you know, but basically, and it's about showing up and being fully committed to what you do. But also what you said, there are different levels of consistency. You know, that, you know, the thing I think that sets high performance apart is that it's not like a peak performance. It's not this peak and trough state. It's this consistent state of evolution or evolving, that where we have tools that we set aside or habits that we've done to make sure that it stays on that consistent pathway, you know. So that's really lovely to hear that from you. Thank you. So what does purpose mean to you?
So purpose in my life really has been something that I feel arises from the inside. It's so often as we grow up and we move through life, it seems everybody else have an agenda for us, right? It might start with our parents and our loved ones and our teachers. And that's the kind of intrinsic or extrinsic, the things from the outside that influences us. And we all have those influences through the culture. I think maybe these days, more than ever, people feel drawn, in certain directions by social media, and wanting to show up in certain ways. But I think the true purpose that I found in my life has been when I slow down and I listen. What's on the inside. For me, the true purpose is more of an intrinsic force. It's often like it's never what's most comfortable. It's not what's the easiest. It's not what allows us to coast. But it is that which makes us excited to get up in the morning, which keeps coming back. If we try to suppress it, the voice just grows inside.
Yes.
And it will not be denied. And I think we all have at least times in our life where we really can hear that. And when we have the courage to respond and go with that, it's like we get to another level of feeling alive and vibrant and excited. And yes, scared and nervous and all those things all the same. But I think that's really where life really becomes the most exciting and fun.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's where life begins to become the most exciting and fun. Just being in that what I've heard you just say before actually is being in that life force. It gives. Do you think that kind of purpose gives a meaning to life that we wouldn't normally have if we didn't think about our purpose?
I believe, and not everybody may agree, but I believe we all here for a reason. We all have things that we are uniquely designed and capable of doing in ways that nobody else can do them. We all have that potential to make a difference in our own life and in other people's lives in ways that maybe only each of us can make that difference. And we either make it or not at every moment. It's not a big binary thing. So for me, it's not about, achieving necessarily big, grand things, but it's about being mindful about how we come into every day, how we start the day, the impact we want to have on others, and the difference we want to make in life. So that purpose for me is, personally, it's to expand the loving in the world. My vision is to see everybody empowered to live their inspired destiny, to live their purpose fully, without constraints, fully free of self-expression, free of movement, free to really be and own who we truly want to be and who we truly are.
Oh, I love that.
And unfortunately, there's so many pressures on all of us to not be and do that.
Yes.
One of them, quite ironically, is we can get captured by our own success. I know, as I was having more success in financial services and having a comfortable life, that can kind of trap us just as much as not having success. And sometimes, having the courage to really listen to what's on the inside and act on it. I think that is what sets us free, but it's not always easy to do.
So how does purpose show up in your life personally? So how does that show up in your life?
So, I mentioned I adopted 2 children, and I'm adopted myself. The person, my Danish mother, was also adopted. So we're generations of adoption. So we say it runs in the family. And it was clear for me that one of the ways in which I wanted to expand the loving in the world was to pass on what was given to me. So I had the benefit of growing up in a very safe and loving and wonderful family in Copenhagen. And I knew that one of the things I had to do in my life was to pass that on to one or more children. And it's been such a privilege to be able to do that. Not easy by any means, and I certainly haven't done it perfectly. I've learned a lot, though. And I think I I think that's the truth for our purpose. It's not about being perfect or getting it right. It's about the process, it's about the growth, and it's about coming from a good place. And then the universe and people are much more forgiving than we often think they might be.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of your purpose, what do you do on a daily basis? So, like, what would be some of your habits or practices that you do on a daily basis to keep you on
Yes,
purpose?
yes. So first of all, I want to keep this quite practical, and I think there are things that we can do on a practical level that helps us be more in our purpose more of the time. Because like so many things, we sometimes have to generate it. We have to generate ourselves. It doesn't necessarily land on us.
Yeah, yeah. But
And
I don't want your three tips now. But what I want is just how you would personally. How do you personally keep yourself on purpose?
so I practice to really connect to my purpose at the start of each day, and
Okay.
to create that like as a context for what I'm going to do on that day.
Yeah, yeah.
And I do that more often than not, but certainly when I do it, my day goes just so much better. And even the little things that we all have to do that maybe we're not so excited to do, if
Yeah.
when I connect those in some way to my purpose, they just feel less burdensome.
Yes. So do you read your purpose every day, or do you write it, or what do you do?
So I love to use like all the different parts of me. I'm quite auditory, so I have made a little recording of my purpose on
Oh,
my phone, and
love,
I like to listen to that when I wake up and also before I go to bed.
lovely.
And I, learned that sometimes keeping it succinct works better for me. So rather than having like a really long purpose statement, since we can have multiple purposes in life, but really to try to get to the essence of things. So I love to have it on my phone.
Mm.
And then I also have a vision board, and which I made like a collage from clippings from different magazines. And so I like to see it and hear it.
Oh, lovely, lovely. I have a vision board as well, so I love that you've got a vision board. And we're coming to that time of year now where that's one of the best ways to keep yourself, because you've got this visual picture, I suppose, that you can see every day that ignites the feelings inside.
Yeah.
You know.
And you just touched on something I think is really important. I mean, fundamentally, we are emotional beings as
Yeah,
human beings.
yeah,
And we need, and I sometimes can have a tendency to go to the abstract, to the cognitive, the thinking side. I love words.
mm,
But I realize really it's about tapping into the emotion of things and the experience. So living my purpose is not just about the things that I want to do and have, but it's also about what's the experience I want to feel? What's
yeah,
the experience and the emotions that I want more of in my life?
yeah.
And what is it I can do to promote those things in my life?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, what three tips would you give to people who would like to get on purpose?
Yeah. So, first of all, I think unfortunately it takes a bit of work sometimes since we may fall into certain routines and not be that clear, right? We can get wrapped up in the doing of life.
So,
and, and
my friend Jake Branson Tom calls it. She says the doo-doo train.
and it can feel like we're on that hamster wheel every day is just like a repeat, like the groundhog day.
Groundhog Day.
So that's not where we want to be. So I think it starts with being clear, and it's stopping and getting more quiet, whether it's through meditation or prayer or a walk in nature. I think they're or doing yoga or
Yeah,
moving dance or whatever.
yeah,
But it's to get pretty clear on what is my purpose at this stage in my life?
Mm.
Because it does shift. The things that are very important to us at the start of life and in the middle of life, as we go through our life change phases, there can be changes in what really matters most,
Absolutely.
and what parts of us we want to tap into and express more.
Yeah,
That's
I
very
really, I really identify with that actually, Karsten, because I realise, and everybody, if whoever's watching and you've got a question for Karsten, please put it in the chat if you want. Karsten will answer any questions if you can. I really identify because I was thinking that we were going to be speaking about purpose today, and I was thinking to myself, where is my purpose now compared to where it was maybe before the pandemic started, even, and my purpose at the moment to individuals is to be in service and to be of service, to my community, to other people, to my clients, But my purpose to myself is to really get myself in a really great fit state of health, and what goes into my body and how I take care of my body. And I was thinking to myself, I don't do these things. So I do these things in purpose, on purpose, Yeah. Yeah. So because of where I started, when I think about how my life started, and where I came from, and then the struggles that I kind of met along my life, most people know that, I'm in recovery now. I'm 20 years sober, but I had this alcohol problem. And then, I was homeless at one point in my life, and it all started from knowing that if I didn't find a purpose or a reason to live, which I see as as the same thing, that that I couldn't make these changes really congruent and really succinct. But the reason why I do the habits that surround me being on purpose is because I know that that is what keeps me alive. That's what keeps me going. That's what ignites the fire. That's what stokes the fire. It's like putting kindle on a burning fire and making sure that it keeps going. So some people can find having a purpose quite airy fairy, but it really isn't. There is a real importance to it. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I think I don't want to get too philosophical, but I do think everything in nature has a reason for being. And when that reason no longer is there, I think there isn't a need for us. Like, we're not here just to take up space and consume resources. We are here for a reason.
Yes.
And there is an intelligence designed to things, I believe. And when we are connected to that, we can start to be in the flow of life. And it isn't about what we achieve. It's really about the impact that we have and our commitment, what we show up with. And so my 3 tips is do what it takes to connect with that, to be clear for yourself what it is, and then to remind yourself, since the thing is, these concepts and ideas and that connection just doesn't stay around like a piece of furniture, right? You don't just park it in your living room and then it's there forever. Probably not, right? We have to generate that connection, and it can look in different ways. I already mentioned maybe do a recording of it. It can be reading it aloud, and really, I mean aloud, like with emotion. It could be having some gestures, emotions that you act out as you read it. You could be reading it in front of the mirror. I'm a great big fan of doing mirror work.
Yes, me too.
Mirror work is just amazing once you get over your initial discomfort of it. It is definitely a way to generate that. And I think it's important to share it, right? And to share it repeatedly with the people that matter most in your life. And yes, maybe, start by sharing it with people you think will be more receptive to the message and more supportive. But I think it is really important that we share with the people that we love and respect and cherish what our purpose is, because they no doubt are the ones who will want to support you and to help you keep that alive and to help you bring that out into the world. And likewise, I mean, have you, maybe ask yourself, do you know what the purpose is of the people you love? What are their purpose?
Nice, Karsten.
Because when we uplift another in their purpose,
Mm.
we inevitably also uplift ourselves. So in this holiday period, and I know it's not an easy time for many people. It's not always been an easy time for me either.
No.
But I think there is an opportunity in this period. There is an openness to having conversations that are meaningful,
Mm.
conversations that matter. And for sure, one of those conversations I would say is a conversation about what is your purpose?
Yeah.
How can I support you?
Yeah. Yeah. And just so, because we keep saying the word purpose, and I'm realizing that some people might not understand what that could be, or because, and I don't want anybody to leave this call thinking that they don't understand. They've heard purpose all the way through, but they don't. What would you?
Yeah, so I think there are different types of purposes.
Mm.
Um, I think it can be a purpose can be really coming out of the things that you value, the things that you say matter.
Yes.
So for some people, it's their friends, it's their
Yeah.
family, it's their children. I do think the people in our lives are probably what will matter most at the end of our life.
Yeah.
And so it can be a purpose can be to show up great for the people we love and
Yes.
to be loving and kind
Yes.
as and that's moment by moment. And we will probably all of us have times when we don't meet that purpose or that standard,
Yeah.
but we can strive towards doing it as much as possible and
Yeah.
learning from the times when we failed in doing it. So it could be that. I think often I think in nature is such a mirror, I think, to us. And when I look at, the tree outside the window,
Yeah.
I see that tree's purpose is to be the best tree that it can be.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not trying to be a rose bush.
No.
It's really not. And it's not trying to,
Mm.
be a small tree. It's trying to wither and bend, to be in the sun and to
Yeah.
receive the sunlight and the nourishment and just to grow into the most magnificent version of the type of tree that it is.
Yeah.
And I wonder if sometimes our purpose is not as simple as that, to really become the best version of ourselves and
Yeah.
to feel free to express ourselves in the world.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that, Karsten. I think, thank you, because I'm just very aware that sometimes, um, we've got this deep understanding because we've been doing it for so long, but just wanting to make sure that other people have a kind of
It
a
can be more than one thing, and more than one thing over the course of our life, but also more than one thing at any moment. Maybe there is a more overarching purpose,
yeah,
but then within that, we may have a person in our vocational work, in our professional work, or what we do for a living, and we may have different purposes in our family, in our community.
yeah,
So we can show up with different intentions in different areas of our life. But whenever we are mindful, whenever we are intentional,
yeah,
whenever we focus on those things we want to expand in our life, to have more of, it can be experience. It's not just material things or things you can measure.
yeah,
It's maybe an experience that you want to be the person that lights up people when you walk into a room. Have
yeah,
joy
lovely.
around you, or
Yeah.
connection,
Oh,
or support other people in their meaning. So I think that can be a purpose. So it doesn't have one definition, but I think if whenever we really take the time to be still and to be quiet and to reflect, we give that space for to hear what's bubbling up from the inside. And
wonderful.
we all have a purpose.
Oh, thank you so much, Karsten. I really appreciate you spending time with us today. It's so lovely. You're a great part of the CHPC community, and you know, the fact that you've even spent time today to be of service, I really, really, yeah, it's just such a
Definitely. Thank you, Nadine. And I mean, people like you that makes being a certified high performance coach such a pleasure, and your voice in the world, not just through your singing, but through your speaking and your commitment is so powerful. And it's just a privilege to know you and to be here with you, and with your community as well. I really appreciate it.
no, thank you so much. So Karsten, like people who might want to work with you, you know, where can they find you?
Yes. So, well, my name is Karsten Alva-Jorgensen. There is only one of me in the world.
Karsten Alva-Jorgensen.
On LinkedIn, on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I'm setting up a company called Inner Power, innerpower.com. It's not fully launched. It will launch in 2021. But yeah, anyone who Googles my name will find a way to connect with me.
And can we just share something, because you didn't say it, and I really want you to do it. You know, you talked about purpose, and just realised my machine's going to run out. But you talked about being on purpose, and that you realised that your purpose was different, and that you've just come out of financial services that you've been in for the last 30 years.
Yes.
Take a brave step to just be a coach full time.
Yes, absolutely. So, well, I think the other thing is we can sometimes like to think that we're going to live forever. And I think we are spiritual beings that probably will live forever. But in this form, in this life, it's finite. And none of us know, obviously, the length of our lives.
Yeah.
So I realized my adopted children are now coming of age. Yeah. And that this was the time for me to step out of my comfort zone as an executive in financial services and to do what was really in my heart to do. So in January of this year, I had the wisdom to put in my notice, work my 6 months, of course, not knowing about COVID or anything else. I made that step out, and it's challenging. It's a learning journey. This has been a year of laying a lot of foundations and working with people and being of service. Yeah. You did mention health. I'm about to go to Costa Rica for a 30-day water fast. Yeah, something I've never experienced before. So there's always a new level to explore. And you know, I'm sure I'll come back from. I'll be there for about 7 weeks, as there's a refeeding period as well. So I will come back hopefully with a new level of health and clarity.
Oh, wow. See, and look at you. I mean, that's such a thing to celebrate. But, you know, your courage, your clarity, your purpose, you know, rechanging your purpose, redefining your purpose, and then living into your purpose. I mean, I just celebrate you. Thank you so much for being such a role model for this subject matter, you know, in this time. And I know that lots of people are going to listen to this and be able to get something out of this that they can use for themselves and just to bring forward into their new 2021, because that's what we want. We want to elevate this frequency so people know that they do have a purpose and it's their time now, and that 2021 is going to be their year.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Karsten, for being so authentic and so heart-centered and a leader of change, but not only a leader that is willing to lead others, but a leader that is also willing to lead himself and to walk his talk. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Take care, everybody, whoever's listening. Happy Boxing Day. Merry Christmas to everybody. You take care now, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.